Gummies are delicious and gummies are fun. But are gummies the best way to get your daily CBD dose in? Let's find out. What's up, my friend? Welcome to the CBD and You podcast. And yes, you means you. And I believe you are here for a reason. I'm Lori, a Christian, a wife, a mama, and a midwife. And to put a little icing on the cake, my husband and I own a hemp farm in Tennessee. Girlfriend, I see it in your eyes and I feel it in the messages you send me. You are tired of waking up every day exhausted with aches and pains that you really thought you were too young for. And with all the stress and anxiety of the day, you're over it. Are you starting to wonder if this is really all life is? I hear you, and you are not alone. God did not design us to just survive. He designed us to thrive. So if you're ready to embrace this beautiful life God has given you by discovering some of His best gifts for His children, rewarm that coffee you forgot about in the microwave, and let's take a minute to pour back into you with a quick chat and some me time. Let's go. So a few years ago, I tried my hand at making gummies for my kids. I just used fruit juice and gelatin, I believe, and I didn't use any preservatives. I kept them in the refrigerator. And even though they were 100% refrigerated, they still molded. And so I realized at that point that you can't just make gummy bears. The gummy bears we buy on the shelves at the stores, those have things added to them, preservatives added to them to make them shelf stable. Otherwise, you have to keep them in the fridge, and even there, they don't keep for very long. Now, I know we live in a world of convenience and needing things to be easy. And so often I get asked if we have gummies. And the answer is no. We don't right now. But I want to help you understand the differences between gummies and CBD oil and to help you understand why we don't have them at this point, and also to help you understand that you really don't need them if you have the oil because it's pretty much the same. Well, it's not pretty much the same. It is the same active ingredients. But I know a lot of you are still like, but I want my gummies. And I get it. So today what I want to do is I want to go over the pros and cons of gummies and the pros and cons of CBD oil. Just go through what's good about them, what's not as good about them, and then talk about what I think you should do, in my opinion. So first, let's start with the pros of gummies. Gummies are, of course, easy. Super easy. You open the package, you take one out, you take it, you eat it, period. Super easy. They taste great, like candy. They're fun, again, because they taste great, like candy. They are very exact. So what's in the gummy is what you get. You can't mess up the dosage because what's there is what's there. You don't have to measure anything. So those are all some pros of gummies. There's also some cons of gummies. Because you can't measure it, which it can be a pro, it also means you can't adjust it. Some people might try to cut them in half, but that's very hard to do exactly. So you might get a little bit more in one dose and a little bit less in another dose, and you don't really know exactly what you're getting. You might get too much. You might get more than you need. Or you might get too little, less than you need. Also, gummies have things added to them, inevitably. You're not going to just get the CBD, whether it be the hemp extract or the isolate or whatever product that you're used to getting. You're not going to just get that in a gummy. You're also going to get other things. For some people, that's not a big deal. I would argue that it should be a big deal. Once you learn about what preservatives do and all the downsides of them, I think you'll realize that they can be a big deal. But the other side of it is that not only are there preservatives added, there may be other things added. I'll give you an example. I have seen CBD gummies on the market that are labeled as sleep CBD gummies. Well, as you've learned in some of previous episodes that I've done, all CBD is sleep CBD, all CBD is anxiety CBD, all CBD is pain CBD. Well, I said CBD a whole bunch of times there, but you get the point. The active ingredient in the hemp, the cannabinoids that are in the hemp, do all of those things. So when they are labeled for a specific purpose, very often they've labeled them that way because they've added extra things. And in the case of sleep, they've often added melatonin. Again, for some of you, you might be like, great, melatonin's awesome. If that's how you look at things, maybe you'll like the product. But again, I would argue that adding melatonin is a bad plan because when you start to use artificial melatonin, your body stops making its own melatonin and you become more and more dependent on it. Whereas when you just use the CBD, that doesn't happen. So a big con, from my view, on gummy CBD products is that there are so many other things added. It's not a clean product. You can't guarantee that it's a clean product. And there's a lot of extra stuff in there that is not in clean, good quality CBD oil. Last con I'll mention here, they can melt. So if you keep them in a hot car, they get gooey, they get gummy, they stick to each other, things like that, unless they've gotten or had other things added to keep them from sticking, which is, again, back to the not having a clean product. So if you go out to your car after you forgot about it on a 90-degree day and your car gets to 150 degrees and your gummies are all one big ball, you're going to be kind of sad. So that's a con. For CBD oil, let's look at the pros. It's not as easy, but it's not hard. So it's not as easy as a gummy, but it's not hard to take CBD. It's just counting drops. So if you can count to 10, which I'm assuming that pretty much everybody listening to me can count to 10, you can take CBD and it's not difficult. Another pro is that you can adjust the dose. And again, that is one of the biggest pros to me because you want to be able to adjust to exactly what you need. When you order CBD from us, I send you a card that helps you to figure out the dose that you need. With a gummy, you can't do that, obviously, because you're getting exactly what's already been put in that gummy. So, in my opinion, all medications, all herbals, all everything should be adjusted based on your body weight and your condition and several other factors. But if you can't adjust it, then you're not going to get exactly what you need. And so with CBD oil, you can do that. In most CBD oils, or at least in ours, that's the main one I can speak directly for, but a lot of CBD oils, there's no preservatives in them, and that's because they're not needed. It's not because we're leaving something out. It's just, it's not required in an oil that is shelf stable at room temperature. Our oil only has organic MCT oil, our own hemp extract, and if you get the natural variety, that's all that's in the bottle at all. If you get either peppermint or cinnamon flavored, it's actually not an artificial flavoring. It is 100% pure therapeutic grade essential oils. And the only reason we add those is just because for some people, the flavor that comes from the hemp itself is a little bit off-putting. So we put the flavoring in there just so that you take it without feeling like you're taking something yucky. Now, it's not really yucky. That's really not a good use of terms. It's not bad. It's just noticeable. It is very hempy, as we call it. Hemperific is another term I use a lot. It's just got this hempy flavor to it. And some people like that, but most don't. And so we do add flavoring, but it's essential oils. It's not artificial flavoring. CBD oil is also easy to transport and it's not heat sensitive. In fact, in order to make it, it has to be heated to a certain level. So you're not going to ruin it if you forget it and leave it in your car. So that's a good thing. It can be tasty. Again, as I mentioned, you can add flavorings to it that make it a little bit more palatable. And the other nice thing is that you can add it to other things. So if you really, really don't like taking it by itself, you can mix it into food. You can soak it into different things so that you don't have to actually take the drops. Now, I do recommend you do the drops if you can take it, just because putting it under your tongue and holding it there for 30 seconds to a minute speeds up the absorption because it starts to absorb through the cells in the bottom of your tongue. But if that's not your thing or you don't like it that way, you can always put it into other things, which you cannot do with gummies. I guess technically speaking, it's already been put into another thing with gummies. But I digress. Now, the cons of CBD oil, as I said to start with, it's not as easy as just opening up a jar and grabbing a gummy. And it's not as tasty as just basically eating candy, which is what a gummy is. You also can mismeasure. So if you lose count or can't figure out exactly how many drops you've put under your tongue or something like that, then you can mismeasure exactly what you're getting. You don't have that problem with gummies. However, I always recommend that if you are having trouble counting it correctly under your tongue, you can always just count the drops as you drop them into a spoon or something like that, and then just put it under your tongue out of the spoon. So while that is a con, it's easily overcome. So let's talk about why we don't do gummies, because I get asked this a lot. You've probably already gathered these reasons from the pros and cons I listed and what I started with, but I'll go over them again just to be clear. Two main reasons that we don't offer gummies at Elyria Ridge Farm. First one is you can't make it without preservatives. It is not shelf stable. I do not like preservatives. I try to avoid them in my foods and everything that I provide for my family, and it would not make me a very honest person if I gave you something or offered you something that I felt was harmful and that I would not take myself. And so because I can't make gummies without putting preservatives in them, I don't want to offer them to you. I'm well aware that you can go get them from other companies, and if that's what you choose, that is your choice. But my integrity says that I can't give you something that I don't want to take myself, or that I don't feel safe taking myself, or that I don't feel is healthy. So I don't want to offer them to you at this point. Also, you can adjust your dose. That's a big one to me. I want you to be able to find your dose. I help you to be able to find your dose and not take a predetermined amount that may be too much or may be too little. If it's too much, it might make you feel funny, and it's also a waste of your money. If it's too little, it's not going to do any good. So my integrity does not want to offer you a product that might not be what you actually need. I want you to get exactly what you need that's going to help you the most. So which do I think you should choose? Well, since we don't offer gummies, I think the obvious answer is that I think you should choose CBD oil. But I will say I'm not closed off to the idea of offering gummies at some point, and I've played with different formulations to see if we could do it without loading it with preservatives that I don't want in my body, and so I surely don't want you to put in your body, but I haven't found it yet. As a small farm, a small business, we have to focus on giving you what we think is the best products, or are the best products, I guess I should say, are the best products. And I truly believe that CBD oil is the best route for most people because you can adjust it to exactly what you need without having to guess if you're getting it right. Without having to guess if what you're getting is right. Whereas in a gummy, you kind of have to guess, is this the right amount? You don't really know. And you can't adjust it if you take it and you know that it's the wrong amount, you can't adjust it. So I personally believe that CBD oil is going to be the best route for most people. So if you're convinced and you're ready to give it a try, be sure you head over to bit.ly/CBD and you show, because if you go to that link, bit.ly/CBD and you show, you're going to get 20% off of everything that you put in your cart. So this is your chance to try a bunch of stuff, try the oils, stock up on the oils, whatever you want to do, and get 20% off of everything. And that's just for the very first order with us, so be sure you make it good. If you're using gummies from another company and you want to make the switch, but you're not really sure how to adjust the dose, how many drops you need, and things like that, if you'll just send me a picture of the container of what you've been taking, you send it to info@alararidgefarm.com. That's ALARARIDGEFARM.com. Then I will email you back with which oil would be best for you and how many drops you would need to get an equivalent dosage to what you were getting in the gummy. Now, if the gummy wasn't giving you the proper results, then you can let me know that in the email as well, and I'll let you know what I think you should do to get the results that you're looking for. So I hope that's been helpful for you. I hope you've learned a lot. And if you have any more questions or anything, again, just email me at info@alararidgefarm.com. And if you have some questions that you'd like to hear me address on a future episode, I'd love for you to go over to our SpeakPipe. If you go down to the show notes, number 2 has a link in there for you, speakpipe.com/CBD and you just leave me a quick voicemail giving me what you'd like to learn about. And then that way I can be sure that I'm addressing exactly what it is that you're wanting to hear, okay? Because I don't want to just ramble. I want to talk about what you want to learn about. So be sure you head over there, let me know what you're wondering about, and I'll talk to you right back here next week. See you then. Whoa, wait, stop. I need your help. Before you take off, if this podcast has blessed you in any way, or if you learned something, could you take 1 minute and leave me a written review over on Apple Podcasts? That's the absolute best way you can thank me. I love hearing how what I've learned on my journey has helped you on yours. Remember that the word says every good gift and every perfect gift is from above. CBD is one of them, but there are so many more. Cling to him and you will never go wrong. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you back here in a few days.